I really think the NBA is turning upside down. Because in what world do the Washington Wizards have two multiple time All Stars? One of them being a first ballot Hall of Famer, and another being a potential first ballot Hall of Famer if he continues to, rack up All Stars, All NBA performances, assist numbers. Yeah, Anthony Davis is on the Wizards. So basically, the Mavericks turned Luka Doncic into Chris Middleton, Max Christie, and a few first round picks that honestly are not going to be that good because the Houston Rockets pick, first off, is top 20 protected. And even if it wasn't, I mean, they're still one of the better teams in the league. So that's going to be 23, 24 at best. I don't know. That's an interesting one. Shocked me for sure because AD was linked to pretty much any team that wasn't Washington, but he ends up in DC anyways. Played a whopping 29 games for the Mavericks, which has to be the least amount of games I've seen a superstar play for a franchise. Um, that's like not counting rookie years where players didn't do their best and were traded right away. So that's that. I'm gonna talk more about that and some other crazy trades that have happened just the day I'm recording this video. But as always, shout out to Underdog Fantasy for sponsoring this video. Scan this QR code. Use the promo code BasketballFan. $5 turns into $75 in bonus bets. Like and subscribe for more of this content. I love all the support. Appreciate everything. Well, let's hop straight into it and talk about maybe the one player that might actually get traded from the Pacers, and that is Benedict Mathurin. Now, entering the season, knowing that Halliburton was going to be injured, we expected a lot out of Benedict Mathurin. He just came off a season where he averaged 16.1, which was definitely an improvement from his sophomore slump kind of year. His rookie season was incredible. Now, obviously, wasn't a starter, but he played 78 games, was very consistent, averaging about 28 minutes per game. Field goal percentage hasn't always been the best. His best shooting percentage was actually last year when he shot 45%. His three is increasing a lot, and so is the free throw percentage. This is his best free throw percentage that he's had in his career. But for his fourth season in the league, still has yet to crack a 20 points per game. He's got every tool in the book to be a great player. He just lacks the consistency and he lacks, the health because this year it's just been one injury out for 10 games, one injury out for 11, rest day here and there. Obviously, the last game we played against the Jazz, it was all just full on rest, which is fine. That's totally cool. We knew we were going to have a lot of players in that game anyways, but will he be here for the Milwaukee game or will he be in New Orleans? Will he be in Dallas? Who knows? Will he be in Charlotte? Because Charlotte is grabbing every guard in the league. Chicago's also grabbing every guard in the league. That Charlotte trade for Kobe White and Mike Conley. He was traded for 2 point guards. Mike Conley probably won't even stay there. A lot has been going on. But I personally think Mathurin could end up leaving. Now, it would suck because the first of all these jerseys that I have was Mathurin's that I got. It was his City edition. And but hey, I do want more jerseys. I actually really want more Pacer jerseys. So I gotta go grab some. But back to this. I like the way Mathurin plays. I really do. But if we can get some good centers or maybe some good draft capital out of it, not the end of the world. Now, yes, it would suck to watch him go and average 25, 30 points per game for another team. But that's only as a standpoint of being a Pacers fan. Obviously, I'd be insanely happy because of just how good of a person he is and just he's a great player, great teammate. People love playing with him. He's that kind of guy that will run through a wall for his teammates. So I always will wish the best for him no matter what. If he does get traded, if he doesn't. But for right now, if there's really no good trade, just keep him. I mean, it's only from when I'm recording this video, it's only 15 hours till the end of the trade deadline. So a lot, and I repeat, a lot is gonna happen. I have a doctor's appointment around the time that this video airs, I'm gonna be at a doctor's appointment, and I guarantee you there's gonna be some trades during that time because trade deadline day is always the wildest day. But it can only be wild for this team if Chad Buchanan and Kevin Pritchard do something. What happened to this? What happened to the people that pulled a crazy plug and landed Pascal Siakam, or traded their franchise star for another franchise star, and then traded that franchise star for some key role players, then traded their other franchise star for their current franchise star? We have made some good trades. This team has made some good trades over the last few years, ever since Chad Buchanan took over as general manager. Decent draft picks, haven't necessarily drafted, any all-stars or anything, but decent draft picks. All have been good role players. Traded for 4 lottery picks with the same draft that have all been decent players on this team. And I'm talking about Halliburton, Toppin, Neesmith, and back when Jalen Smith was on the team. All were lottery picks from the same draft, given up by their teams, and have all become good players. Obviously, Halliburton has become a superstar. Toppin has become a great 6-man. Neesmith has become a wonderful starter, and Smith was good whenever he was on the team. But I need something. I repeat, I need something to happen because we are being left out in what is probably one of the wildest trade deadlines I have ever seen. And it's not even the fact that it's a trade deadline in itself. It's the fact that it's not the trade deadline and everything has been going crazy. I mean, who would have thought that before the trade deadline, Anthony Davis would be traded, Kobe White would be traded, Kristaps Porzingis would be traded, James Harden would be traded, Darius Garland would be traded, DeAndre Hunter, all these players would all be on a new team before the trade deadline even hits. Jaren Jackson Jr. So just make it make sense as to why we haven't gotten involved and traded some assets for a good center or maybe a star player, because this team has the potential to be good next year. This could be that 2020, like that 2019, 2020 Warriors season where they went from competing in a title, from winning back-to-back and then losing to the Raptors, to a terrible season because of injuries and just, playing some young guys, lottery pick, and then they won a championship the year after. This could be that kind of team. We have the assets. We've been good against OKC, and that is our number one, menace on the other side. New York has been a team that's taken us to 7 and 6 games recently. Obviously, that big rivalry with Milwaukee, but if Giannis leaves, there really isn't going to be no rivalry outside of the fact that Miles Turner's still there. That would be an interesting one if Turner gets traded. I actually want to cover that. If it happens, the episode after this is going to be one of the best episodes I'll ever record. Hope Turner gets traded out of Milwaukee. I think that'll be very interesting to cover. Even though it's not really Pacer news, but he was here for 10 years, so it's Pacer news. But come on. I want Chad Buchanan to do something. I want Kevin Pritchard to do something. I want this team to have some fun on the trade deadline. We've been involved in most trade deadlines recently. I mean, yes, last year the only trade we really did was trading James Wiseman for cash. But I mean, what we have some players. Even if we get rid of a rookie like Cam Jones or Taylor Peter, throw him in with Benedict Mathurin for a decent player, and throw in a pick. There's a lot of players we could genuinely trade for. I mean, Zubac is still on the table. Obviously, Vucevic isn't, but Zubac is still on the table. We could always trade for Kessler and have him heal, and he'll be ready next year. So, stuff to look at because Utah, the Jaren Jackson trade was okay. It wasn't crazy, but them giving up Walter Clayton, I wasn't a big fan of that. But I just think there's so much we can do. And I really think that Chad Buchanan and Kevin Pritchard need to step up their game and do something. Fast breaks, buzzer beaters, and block parties are back, and Underdog is the best place to get in on all the action. Playing an Underdog is easy. Just choose whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like points, rebounds, steals, or more. Get your picks right, you can win up to 5,000 times your cash. Now, Speaking of trades, let's talk about a player who was traded pretty much the day before this video. I recorded this video a year ago. Luka Doncic, 31.5 points higher. I mean, I just can't go against him. I mean, yes, the last game was one of the ones I didn't mention if he was going to go higher or lower. He didn't hit that, but I think he will. And LeBron, 20.5 higher as well. I think these two are going to have great games against Philadelphia. They did just trade Jared McCain, so I don't know. He was a fan favorite in Philadelphia, but I think these two will have good games against Philly. It's a late game, so we'll see what happens there. So those are my choices. Higher on Luka's 31.5 points, higher on LeBron's 20.5. Use promo code BasketballFan to score $75 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. Once again, that is code BasketballFan. Underdog. Make picks and win money.
Must be 18 plus. 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska. 19 plus in Colorado for some games. 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia. And present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/play and get terms DFSTML for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 helpline at 1-878 or text HOMI 467-369.
I'm back. Now, let's go trade for trade and see why I'm going to kind of just put it towards the Pacers because some of these players the Pacers genuinely could have gone for. Now, the first trade is the most recent one, and that's Trayce Jackson-Davis for a second-round pick to Toronto. And I never thought that the Pacers would go for a player like TJD. But, I mean, he is from Indy. He went to Center Grove High School. He went to IU. And he's a decent center. He fell completely out of the rotation after being a genuine starter on that team. Steve Kerr just completely threw him out of the rotation. But he goes to Toronto where he can go play with Scotty Barnes and, really good team. They might make a run for bonus. They might not. But at the moment, they're going to be starting Jakob Poeltl. Even with his injury, TJD might get some minutes, but Murray Boyles has pretty much, taken over as a starting center for now. He's a double-double threat. But Trayce Jackson-Davis could be a double-double threat. He's that good. I mean, he was the second to last pick in the draft and honestly was one of the best rookies in his class. And he's been decent. It's just he hasn't gotten the chance because there's some players that Steve Kerr is not a fan of. And I talked about it the other day with Gary Payton and, a guy I'm going to talk about here in a minute. But this is a trade that if the Pacers made, it would have been okay. I mean, a second-round pick for TJD, that's pretty good because he's a good player. He's someone who can go off the bench, give you 10, 15 minutes a night, and give you a good stat line. So good trade for the Raptors there. Second, the Warriors traded for a championship power forward from the Eastern Conference. And he's European. His name is Kristaps Porzingis. Kristaps for Jonathan Kuminga and Buddy Hield. No picks in this trade at all. Just straight 1-for-2 players swap. Sure. I mean, this was a trade. I talked a lot about Kuminga being a potential trade piece for the Pacers, and I stuck to my guns because I like Kuminga. He's my age. He's a good player. He's someone who can go in, drop 25 points a game when given the chance. When he's healthy, he is one of the better players on the court. Very shocked that Steve Kerr just didn't see eye to eye with him because, I mean, he came in, won a championship as a rookie, and he's been a good player ever since. It's just he hasn't been getting those minutes in that role. And I know there's been a lot of scrutiny between him and Kerr. Now that's going to be out the window. Now he goes to play for Quinn Snyder. Quinn Snyder will play Kuminga. Kuminga is going to ball out in Atlanta. Atlanta's going to be a great team. You just fit him in a 3. Make Jalen Johnson play the 4. I mean, you don't have to really start Corey Kispert or anything. It's going to be a good lineup. And Buddy Hield off the bench. Obviously, I'm not going to talk about Buddy Hield coming back to Indy because that just wouldn't happen. But, I mean, he's going to be good in Atlanta. Atlanta now has some spot up 3-point shooters. I mean, In just these trades, they picked up 3 of the best 3-point shooters in the league in Kispert, McCollum, and Buddy Hield. And they also had Luke Kennard and Nikhil Alexander-Walker. 5 players who can pretty much give you 3 to 5 threes a night. So they're going to be a scary team with all the shooting that they have. Now, that's about it. They have no defense. Outside of Johnson, Okongwu, and it's Dyson Daniels. All these 3-point shooters are not good defenders. McCollum is not the best defender. Buddy Hield, we know he's a traffic cone on defense. Kispert, Kennard, not good on defense either. Also, Kennard might be an interesting trade piece that the Pacers might go for tomorrow because we do need some shooting, some more consistent shooting. But that's another topic. But this was an interesting trade. I like this trade on behalf of the Hawks. Now they weren't going to keep Porzingis unless they were genuinely going to make a playoff run. At the moment, they're in a play-in, but this team is Jalen Johnson's. That's why they traded Trae Young. That's why they got rid of Porzingis right away. So that's a good trade for the Hawks. I'm not going to go too in-depth on these next two. Tyus Jones is on the Hornets. Jock Lawndale is on the Hawks. So I guess the Hawks got another center. And Tyus Jones was pretty much just traded for cash. He's been awful on the Magic. Everyone thought he'd be better. Not a player I would see on the Pacers either, just because he's kind of like he's a good passer, but around that, it's not really his game. He's not the best player on the court. He's undersized, has been a decent player, but not someone you would see on the Pacers. Now this one, the Lonzo Ball trade. He went to Utah, a few second round picks. Cavs got an open roster spot, maybe to go and try to grab Giannis. No, probably not. But Lonzo is becoming a free agent. I doubt, and I repeat, I doubt that the Pacers would attempt to go for Lonzo Ball. I wouldn't mind. He is a great defender. He's a decent 3-point shooter, good ball handler, great passer. But he's pretty much Anthony Davis when it comes to health. Never healthy. Missed pretty much 2 seasons with an injury. But to be fair, that injury, a lot of players don't come back. That was Festus Ezeli had that injury and pretty much never played again. So it is good to see him on the court, but, wasn't good for the Cavs. I have way too many games where he was 0 for 5 and just didn't put up any stats. His defense was falling off a little bit. But I still think he can be a good player. He could be a valuable asset to a team like the Pacers who could use a veteran guard off the bench to kind of complement TJ McConnell in that role. Lonzo could play the 2 and can still ball handle. So that might be a player we could go for. And then, yeah, Chris Paul of the Raptors. He's probably going to get waived. He's one that I actually, I was talking to my friend earlier because what would hurt the Pacers if we signed Chris Paul on a veteran minimum? Besides the fact that he might want to go to a contender, why not, give our guys some advice? He would play. He would play for us because we need all the play we need. And, it'd be nice. It'd be nice to see him in a Pacers uniform. I've always been a huge fan of Chris Paul. I've always wanted to see him win a ring, but, it doesn't look like it's going to happen unless he genuinely joins the Thunder, Rockets, or pretty much a team he's been on. But, glad the Clippers finally let him go. Hornets getting Kobe White. That's a big one because I'm a huge fan of Kobe White. I thought he would have been good on the Pacers, but I just don't know if we really had the assets to trade for him because he's an interesting one. Because they gave up Colin Sexton and Ousmane Dieng after they traded Plumlee for him from the Thunder. And then a few second-round picks. I don't know who we would have even given up for Kobe White or how he would fit our system because the ball needs to be in his hand most of the time. And then last but not least, Anthony Davis. Washington Wizards legend Anthony Davis. We'll see how many games him and Trae Young actually play together. Because I saw a stat earlier. AD and Kyrie played 25 minutes together. That's less than a game. And AD, Kyrie, Cooper Flag, that trio never played a game. And they've all been on the same team since June. Which I think that's crazy to me. Obviously, Kyrie was hurt. He still has that torn ACL. AD's been in and out rotation. Cooper's been balling. But one thing I want to focus on this trade is AJ Johnson. Now, the reason I want to focus on him is because he's in his third season, is already on his third team. He started in the Bucks, was a high draft pick, got traded right away, along with him and Chris Middleton have just been going back and forth between teams together. There's his second time being traded, and they've both been with Chris Middleton in that famous Kyle Kuzma 0-0-0-0-0 trade. But I would like AJ Johnson. He's a good 3-point shooter. He's a young guy who has shown that he can be valuable. Both him and Marvin Bagley. Those are two guys that we never know. Maybe the Mavericks could flip with us in what would be a Benedict Mathurin trade. Now, obviously, I want Gafford, but maybe both teams do something crazy like a 5-player trade. And it's like Mathurin and, I don't know, Cam Jones for maybe Bagley, Johnson, and Gafford. Now, yeah, we would be in an abundance of centers, but we would just most likely just release Micah Potter. Because Marvin Bagley coming off our bench, I've said it before, I like traditional centers, even if they're not like the best. Bagley's a guy who can get me 10 and 10 if given the minutes. He's a former number 2 pick. He was drafted before Luka Doncic. King saw an absolute stud. He's a great player, but he just hasn't been able. He hasn't really shown it. Yes, he's had injury issues as well, and I'm not fully excusing the fact that he hasn't been the best player. But those were all the trades. A lot of them, I could see some of the lesser players in the trades. Maybe the Pacers could go for them in case we're still trying to be flipped in some of these trades. Or maybe the Pacers get involved in a 3 or 4 team trade, give up a few second round picks, grab a player or two, and then we'll organize the roster from there. But I know this episode didn't have way too much to do with the Pacers just because, we haven't done anything. And there's just not a lot of news going around about the fact that the Pacers haven't really been linked to anyone outside of players I've already talked about or players that have already been traded to other teams. Because now we're going to have no shot at Vucevic. We're going to have no shot at Kuminga. These players are sticking around to the teams that they're at. There's no way the Hawks are going to flip Kuminga for whatever we have to offer them. So that's just that. And then last but not least, what do we do? What do we do from here? It's simple. Just make some calls, grab a player, trade some picks, trade a player. We have some players that we can give up for some assets. Even if we just trade a player for a few first-round picks, build from the draft. Look what the Thunder are doing. The Thunder have so many picks that they gave up 4 picks for Jared McCain, and the trade was fine because it was only 1 first-round pick, and that first-round pick isn't even that good. And then the 3 second-round picks are just second-round picks. Pretty much just gave up a few decent players, or maybe probably some players that won't even see the court ever in the NBA, for a guy who was almost Rookie of the Year last year. And I still think it's crazy that he got traded just because Philadelphia has such a weird rotation piece right now. Somehow Jared McCain falls out of that. Yes, he started the year with an injury, but he's still a good player. And now he goes to the best team in the league. That's crazy to me. So I think the Pacers need to maybe pull some OKC level, foolery and try to just grab as many picks as they can. But that all started with the fact that they traded Paul George for a bunch of first-round picks and an MVP. So Sam Presti, my hat's off to you. You are the single greatest GM in the league right now. I don't know how you did it. You are insane. Pulling some trades that 2K won't even accept just to stock up on first-round picks. Now they have enough first-round picks to pretty much trade for whoever. So, who knows? But the next episode, I'm going to strictly make it Pacer stuff. I will run down some deals that get made on trade deadline and how, I don't know, if the Pacers could have jumped in on them. Or, obviously, if the Pacers make trades, those are going to be the main topics that I will talk about. But as always, shout out to Underdog Fantasy for sponsoring this video. Scan this QR code. You know what to do. As always, I'm Hery Acosta. This is Pacers Daily. Boom, baby. And go, Sirs.